Leviticus chapter 8. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying,
Take Aaron and his sons with him, and the garments, the anointing oil, a bull as a sin offering, 2 rams, and a basket of unleavened bread, and gather all the congregation together at the entrance to the courtyard of the tent of meeting.
And Moshe did as Yahweh commanded him, and the congregation was gathered together at the entrance to the courtyard of the tent of meeting. Then Moshe said to the congregation,
This is what Yahweh has commanded to be done.
Then Moshe brought Aaron and his sons forward, and washed them with water from the laver. And he put the tunic on Aaron, girded him with the sash, clothed him with the robe, and put the ephod on him. He also tied the ephod to him by its skillfully woven waistband, so it was fastened on him. He placed the breastplate on him, and put the Urim and Thummim in the breastplate. And he put the turban, mitznepeh, on his head. On the front of the turban, mitznepeh, he set the gold plate, the holy diadem, the crown, tying it on the front of the turban, as Yahweh had commanded. Then Moshe took the anointing oil, and anointed the tabernacle, and all that was in it, and so consecrated and sanctified them. He sprinkled some of it on the altar 7 times, anointed the altar and all its utensils, and the laver for washing, and its base, to consecrate and sanctify them. He poured some of the anointing oil on Aaron's head, and anointed him, consecrating and sanctifying him. Then Moshe brought Aaron's sons, and put tunics on them, girded them with sashes, and put the caps, migbah, the kippah, on them, as Yahweh had commanded Moshe. And Moshe brought the bull for the sin offering. Then Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the bull for the sin offering, and Moshe killed it. Then he took the blood, and put some on the horns of the altar, all around, with his finger, to purify the altar. And he poured the blood at the base of the altar. So he consecrated, and sanctified it, and made atonement for it. Then he took all the fat on the bull's entrails, the fatty lobe attached to the liver, and the 2 kidneys with their fat. And Moshe burned these on the altar. But the bull, its hide, its flesh, and its offal, he burned with fire outside the camp, in a clean place, as Yahweh had commanded Moshe. Then he brought one of the rams as the burnt offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the ram, and Moshe killed it. Then he sprinkled the blood all around on the altar. He cut the ram into pieces, and Moshe burned the head, the pieces, and the fat, first washing the entrails and the legs in water, burning the whole ram on the altar. It was a burnt offering for a pleasing aroma, an offering made by fire to Yahweh, as Yahweh had commanded Moshe. Then he brought the second ram, the ram of consecration. Then Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of this ram. Then Moshe killed it. He took some of its blood and put it on the tip of Aaron's right ear, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. Then he brought Aaron's sons, and Moshe put some of this blood on the tips of their right ears, on the thumbs of their right hands, and on the big toes of their right feet. Then Moshe sprinkled the blood all around on the altar. Then he took the fat from this second ram, and the fat tail, all the fat from the entrails, the fatty lobe attached to the liver, the 2 kidneys, and their fat, and the right thigh. And from the basket of unleavened bread, in front of Yahweh, he took a cake of bread, and one made with oil, and a wafer. He put these on the fat portions, and on the right thigh. He put all these in Aaron's and his sons' hands, and waved them as a wave offering in front of Yahweh. Then Moshe took them from their hands, and burned them on the altar, placing them on the burnt offering. They are consecration offerings, for a pleasing aroma, and offering made by fire to Yahweh. Then Moshe took the breast, and waved it as a wave offering in front of Yahweh. It was Moshe's part of the ram of consecration, as Yahweh had commanded Moshe. Then Moshe took some of the anointing oil, and some of the blood from the altar, and sprinkled this on Aaron, on his garments, and on his sons, and on their garments. So he consecrated and sanctified Aaron and his garments, and his sons, and their garments. And Moshe said to Aaron and his sons,
Boil the flesh at the entrance to the tent of meeting, and eat it there with the bread and the basket, from the consecration offerings, as I commanded, saying, Aaron and his sons shall eat it. What remains of the flesh and of the bread you shall burn with fire. And you shall not leave the entrance to the tent of meeting for 7 days, until the days of your consecration and ordination are ended. Your consecration will be for 7 days. What Yahweh has done this day, Yahweh has commanded to make atonement for you. Therefore, you must stay at the entrance to the tent of meeting, day and night for 7 days, and keep the charge of Yahweh, so that you may not die, for that is what I have been commanded.
So Aaron and his sons did all the things Yahweh had commanded by the hand of Moshe.